Hello, this is Steven, the calculator guy, and this is a video I have been meaning to do for a very long time. This is the anchor delta neutral strategy explained. So, if you're familiar with the Terra ecosystem, or if you've been following Danny Sesta, the man of time and wonder, then you probably have heard of UST, Terra, or Anchor. That's sort of how his magical degen box thing works, but let's dive in. So, Anchor is a place in which you can stake or put your UST for 20% APY, which is amazing for a stable coin, absolutely, and it's consistent, which is even more ridiculous. However, you can do even better, utilizing mirror and delta neutral. So, if you watch my delta neutral strategy with Olympus, then and Float Capital, then you probably understand the basics of delta neutral. Delta neutral essentially means you take out a short position and a long position that are equivalent, so that regardless of price change on the underlying asset, your holding remains neutral. Change, delta, neutral. So, how can you turn this 19.49% APY into 44% APR? And maybe even higher APY? Well, it's actually not that difficult. But what you will need, I guess I'll put it over here. What you need 2/3, is that right? 2x plus 1x is 3x, yeah. So 2/3 UST in Anchor, 1/3 UST. 2 weeks. Alright, this is sort of like a recipe. You'll need 2/3 of your UST in Anchor, 1/3 as loose UST to utilize, and then you'll need 2 weeks to fully realize this strategy. Now, you can bypass the 2 weeks by having half of your money in Anchor and half of your money as UST, but that's totally up to you, because you don't need to do that, and you'll get a better APR, APY if you just wait the 2 weeks. So let's look. With Mirror, the first thing you need to do is open up a short position. Now, a short position means that your position increases in value as the underlying stock decreases in value. Now, why am I saying stock? Well, because with Mirror, what Mirror does is it creates mirror stocks on the Luna ecosystem. So you'll go over to Farm, for example, and you'll look at one of these stocks that you like the short farm for. Maybe Goldman Sachs, right? Really nice short farm. But technically you're going to have more money in the long farm, so you want one where you're a little bit more exposed to the long farm APR than you are the short farm. So this one's got really not much going on. This one's pretty good. Netflix. Aside from that, okay, maybe Alibaba, but Alibaba's relatively volatile. Amazon, let's do, sure. Let's go ahead with Amazon. So let's go to Amazon. First, we're going to open up a short farm position. And we're going to do that with our AUST. Not UST, but AUST. So we're using our sort of receipt token, our interest-bearing token, that is intrinsically gaining roughly 20% APY per year as collateral for our short position. So the UST that you deposited in Anchor, you can now take your receipt token, your receipt interest-bearing token AUST, and use it as collateral on the terramirror.finance web app. And what you want to do, to be super safe, is open up at a 200% collateral ratio, but of course you can change that. What that means is that you have twice as much collateral as the position that you're borrowing, as what you're borrowing. So at $10,000 with a 200% collateral ratio, you could borrow $5,000. So you have twice as much, you have 200% collateral than what you've taken. Now the cool thing is, that you will have that amount in Amazon stock, but you'll also get that amount in returned UST, which is pretty interesting. So you'll get $5,000 worth of Amazon, but you'll also get $5,000 worth of UST in 2 weeks. So you're getting 100%. You're essentially doubling, kind of, your UST that you put in. Okay, so let's go over here. So you've deposited $10,000 at a 200% collateral ratio. Therefore, your short position is going to be $5,000. In 2 weeks, you're going to get $5,000 in UST back. But right now, your short position of your Amazon stock is $5,000 worth of Amazon stock, short Amazon position. The short APR is 19.4, and the AUST APY is 19.49, 19.49. So already you can see how the 1 year ROI from just that anchor deposit would have been $1,949. Like, that's what you would have gotten from this $10,000 deposit if you were just using Anchor. Now, if you were using Anchor and shorting, then you would get an additional nearly $1,000, which could increase, there we go, which increases your total APR to 30% now, which is great, amazing, fantastic. However, now you're exposed to a short position and you are not delta neutral. So if that underlying stock increases in value, then your short position decreases in value, and there's nothing you can do about it. And generally, these stocks do trend up, even if slowly. So you don't necessarily want to be exposed to a short position, especially if you think that short position may decrease in value faster than your APR for that short value appreciates the value of your underlying. So what do? Well, you need to have a delta neutral strategy. What is a delta neutral strategy? A delta neutral strategy is where you're longing the same that you're shorting. That way, if your long increases in value and your short decreases in value, you're still at the exact same value, right? So if you have $1,000 split into a long and short, $500 here, $500 here. If this one gains $1, 501, this one loses $1, 499. You still have exactly $1,000. That's what delta neutral is. So you're shorting and longing the exact same amount. As one increases, the other decreases. One decreases, the other increases, always. So you're always having the same amount of underlying asset. All right. So how do you open the long position? Well, it's pretty simple, right? You go over to Mirror, and you go to Farm, and you want to go, what were we looking at? I think Amazon, right. Look at Long Farm. So with the Long Farm, you need UST, actual UST, to purchase the amount of Long Farm. So the base recommended, well, you have to purchase the same amount that you shorted. So that'll be 50% of your total initially deposited. Oh, that's why I got darker, because the light got turned off. Well, no one was looking. Let me turn it back on. Okay. So, we deposited $10,000. We shorted $5,000. So now we need to long $5,000, but we can't use any collateral because we've already collateralized all of our AUST. So this is where you actually need 5,000 USD sitting on the sides, right? So if you look at the delta neutral strategy, what do you need? You need 2/3 of the total as UST and Anchor, also known as AUST, and you need 1/3 of the total as UST. So that third is now being utilized for your long position. So you will purchase, right, presumably in this particular scenario, $5,000 of long Amazon, or just like buying the stock, basically. And if you want to, to purchase that, you would have to go to trade, then Amazon. For $5,000, a little late. $5,000, blah, 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 blah. And there you go, right? So you would have 1.39, 1.4-ish stocks of mirror Amazon. There's a little bit of a fee, but it's negligible. Then you have to go to farm, and you go to long Amazon farm. Now what you'll notice is that you also, like any liquidity pool, you need 50% of some other asset. And that other asset is UST. Now, why did I not say you need $10,000? Because if you remember, when we did the shorting, after 2 weeks, they returned to us $5,000. And you can use that $5,000 for the long farming. That way, you can use $15,000 to get a full 40% APR instead of using $20,000 to get that 39 base percent APR. And then maybe, you know, when you get that, after 2 weeks, when you get that 5,000 back, maybe throw that into Anchor and do some more delta neutraling. Sure, but your initial is still $5,000 more, and, you know, you may not be in the position to have that additional quarter, you know, so just wait the 2 weeks, be patient. That's my recommendation, at least. But everyone's situation is different. So once you have that $5,000 after waiting 2 weeks, you can open up a farming position. The long APR for the mirrored Amazon farm, excuse me, 30% roughly. So the 1 year ROI is like $3,000, which is pretty good, right? So if you look at the original Anchor versus the long position, it's 30%, quite nice. Your total yearly is now 5,856, which is pretty good, and that is 39%, or roughly 40% of your initial. Here, now there are some other, you can play around with which positions are better. So maybe you're looking at, let's see, what's another good one? Whoa, 52% for a short farm. What did I just look at that was pretty decent? Let's look at 40 is a good number. Let's look at Netflix, right? 37 and 19. We'll just say 37 and 20. Make it easy. 37, 20. Right, 44%. So Netflix definitely better, and it's delta neutral, so the risk is not there, right? So really, you just want to maximize. So find the ones that are relatively volatile, open up delta neutral position, and you're good. AMC, yeah, talk about volatile. Let's just see, right? So 30.47, 37.61, 30.47, 30.47, and was it 36.1? So you're only getting 1 more percent. I probably wouldn't do it just because I don't like how volatile AMC might be. But let's see. Are there any other really good options here? You know, just surf around, toss in the numbers. Alibaba, yeah. So 32 and 30. Let's do that. Okay, so we're still getting around 44. But that's not all, right? This is APR, and if you know anything about my channel, you know I like APY. So how do we turn that into APY, right? We can go over to the APR to APY converter and toss in like 30%. Let's say we compound every day, and if we're doing it on the single side, 5,000, 5,000, and like it's gonna be like 10 cents, not $10. Super cheap. So you're turning it into a 33.99% APY. So let's just imagine that says APY. Don't judge me. Let's just imagine. And if it says 32, it's gonna be very similar. 32. Then we're turning that to 36.69, 36.69, and 48, almost 50. Right, so we're getting almost 50% AP. That's going to be Y, APY on utilizing this delta neutral strategy with mirror. I think that's amazing. I think that's fantastic, and we're not really exposing ourselves to that much more risk, except for like white paper exploits or someone hacking into the mirror protocol, which seems very unlikely at this point. It's a very established protocol with very excellent. I'm using the word "very" a lot. Security. Whoops. Let's go back. Okay. So I will just made this calculator. It's, it's super simple, but I will link this calculator in the description. Unfortunately, as it so happens, whenever I link calculators in the description, they go to publish only mode, so you can't copy them. So what I will also do is post this on Twitter, and that seems to work, so you can access it, open it, make a copy. As a reminder, with all of my calculators, you have to click File, then make a copy to edit, because I keep the template, and if I let you edit the template, anyone could ruin it. So click File, click Make a Copy. My sheets only work in Google Sheets. If you try using Excel, sometimes they won't work, or whatever else there might be. So as a recap, you need, for this to work, 2/3 of your total investment as Anchor, deposited UST in Anchor over here. And then you need the remaining third as UST, not anchored. What you will do is you will open up a short position with a 200% collateral ratio, and then you will open up a long position for the exact value of your short position. And then in 2 weeks, you will use the returned USD that you get to farm your long position. And if you want to turn this APR into APY, my actual recommendation is that you only compound the long position. That way you can avoid collateralizing your UST, which wouldn't be maximizing UST. What you could do is take all that UST and then put it back into Anchor for 20%, but the long position is going to have better APR, so that's sort of what I recommend doing. What I mean is, you are getting rewarded in mirror tokens, because these are farms, right? So take those mirror tokens, click trade, sell them for UST. Once you have UST, take half of that, go to whatever long you wanted to, whatever long you're doing. In this case, I think we are looking at Alibaba, and purchase half with that. Then go to the farm for Alibaba, and then increase your farm position. Half Alibaba, half UST. Now, what this does do is it gives you more exposure to the long position, which means if the price goes down, your long position farm can go down until it gets to the delta neutral position. It can't go past that. So it's just like your profits could theoretically inch towards zero, but it's unlikely. And if you're scared of that, by all means, you can utilize different strategies however you'd like. You can also just take it as profit, keep it all APR, and just take it as UST, throw that UST right back into Anchor, so then it's profit that you're also getting 20% on. Pretty cool, pretty nice over time. A lot of different strategies, that's up to you, but the base APR that you're getting with this strategy is going to be 30 and 32. It's going to be around 44%, right? Between 39 and 44%, depending on which stock you choose. All right. Hopefully you guys understand what's going on now. If you want to support me, please join my Patreon, link in the description. I post some additional thoughts there, as well as some alpha every once in a while. I also try to answer questions there within 24 hours, whereas I probably won't be able to answer questions within 24 hours on Twitter or Telegram. So that's it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. I will try my best to get to them, but I make no promises because my brain is all over the place, oftentimes. Cheers!